Good evening and welcome to Baturdays in the BatCave. And we're doing Batman reviews for the first time in a long time. Batman books. I'm OmniDog with my co-host, the Minister of Comics. How are you, Minister?
I'm doing great. Jeff's got a warning from YouTube that if we didn't do a Batman-centric show, they would take the title away from us of Baturdays in the Batcave. So to avoid that, we're going to talk about some Batman books.
It's been a while since we talked about Batman, and two books that I think I can speak for the both of us when I say they've been very anticipated from both of us. These two books, we've been waiting a long time for both of them, and we have highly anticipated, very desired. We've been dying to read them. Can't wait to get our hands on them. And so this is let me highlight that. It's going to be, we're talking about The Batman's Grave and the long-awaited Earth One Volume 3 of Batman by Jeff Johns and Gary Frank. Volumes 1 and 2 of Earth One Batman, I have said repeatedly, are my favorite Batman books. So I have been personally really waiting for Volume 3. And before we start, this is Saturday the 26th. And for a week, let's see. Wait, what is that? July 2nd? Let me double check.
July 3rd.
July 3rd. For a week, from now until July 3rd, DyingBreedCollectors.com. It's all one word. I only put the spaces in there so you could spell it out. We'll give you 10% off on all Bat books. These two books will be coming in on Wednesday of this week. So you'll be able to order them with 10% off with the code BATHOUND, or BEFOUND as it looks all together.
I'm wondering how long he can keep up the dog theme with the kids.
So 10% off, and I'll probably say it a couple more times, and I'll be posting it. We'll be Instagramming it because we want you to save money. 10% off on all Bat books on DyingBreedCollectors.com. And he is in the process of getting more and more books. We are going to grow with him, and he's a good guy, so we're very excited to work with him. His name's John. We're very excited to work with our sponsor. We got a sponsor, Minister.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. We're guys who love DC, so we're hoping to help grow some DC collections for him on his page. So that'd be awesome to help him with that because we both love DC.
Right, and he's expanding his Marvel and his independent section, and trying to get books that maybe other places don't have right now. So he's really wanting to serve the people and give them great service with great packaging and answering your emails immediately. So,
and a lot of times he'll have books that no other site has. So constantly check his stock to see what he has that other sites might not be able to have. So that's a big highlight for him, is that he has that capability.
Because we're advising him. So we're going to be filling the site with books we like.
Because we know you'll want to buy them. And you'll buy whatever we tell you to buy. We have that kind of power.
Absolutely. So, Minister, we waited a long time for these books. Batman's Grave, we really actually didn't wait all that long for, but we've been excited about it for a while. Earth One Volume 3. How long have we been waiting? 2 years? 3 years?
No, you have been waiting for not that long because you just read them all last year. I've been waiting since like 2014, I think, for Volume 3. Because Jeff Johns and Gary Frank got distracted with Doomsday Clock.
Have they been writing that for 7 years?
Well, Jeff Johns had it written, I don't know how many years ago, but Gary Frank was like a third of the way through whenever they had to go into Doomsday Clock. And Doomsday Clock took 3 years. So they finally got back to this and finished it. And so I'm hoping with volume 4, if there is a volume 4, which I think that there will be,
Sounds like it.
based off the ending. I'm not trying to ruin the ending. I'm just saying it leaves the door open for more books. I'm hoping I'm not going to wait another 6 years. I'm hoping that Bat Sam won't be like 8 years old when the next one comes out. I'm hoping that it'll be maybe 2 or 3 years. That'd be nice. I could wait that long.
I read Earth One volumes 1 and 2 again today because it's all it all runs together. It's all part of a string of the same book. Loved volumes 1 and 2. I really liked a lot of book volume 3. Now I don't want to give too much away because I'm definitely recommending you read this. I'll just say what I thought of it, and then you can say what you thought of it. You want to do it that way, and then we can discuss it?
Yeah, sure. Do you want me to read the back while you show off some art first?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I'll try not to show any stuff that gives things away.
And just before I read the back of this is a spoiler for book 2, so maybe I shouldn't read it. Should I read it? There's a spoiler. The first sentence of the back is a spoiler for book 2.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, no, don't read that part. Maybe can you? Oh, gee.
I just won't say anything. We'll just show off the art because I don't think we can say anything without spoiling it.
Yeah.
If you haven't read it, it's volume 2 by now. That's kind of your fault though. It's been like 7 years. But yeah, so this is definitely not a series of one-offs. You have to read volumes 1 and 2. Otherwise, you're not going to enjoy this very much. At least I wouldn't think you would. I think it'd be very confusing. Either. You have to read volumes 1 and 2. It's one connected story. And I think as of right now, this is probably my least favorite of the 3, but I still really liked it. Like volumes 1 and 2 were 10 out of 10. This is like an 8.5 or 9 out of 10 for me.
I agree.
I think the reason why is because there is a big twist. There's supposed to be a big twist in this book, but I knew it at the end of book 2. I'm like, oh, this is where they're going with it. And they kept kind of dragging it out throughout the book. And I'm like, I know they're going to go there, and they're kind of just baiting the hook too much. And then when I got there, I'm like, you could have told me this at the beginning of the book, and I would have been fine with it. So there's like a big twist. I'm like, I knew that was going to happen. And if I'm assuming most people will see it coming too. So that was kind of like, I don't know why they kind of had that be the major twist for me.
Right.
Because I knew it was going to happen. I'm like, I know this is going to happen. Because this series is all about subverting the major tropes of the Batman universe. And whenever the main continuity goes left, Jeff Johns and Gary Frankel go right and do something a little bit different. So it was kind of telegraphed very, very early on. I'm assuming you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I know what you're referring to.
But there is something else after that that I didn't expect, which I'll talk to you about after the show is over. There is a cool twist after the major twist, which I thought was really cool. So there is a lot of cool stuff in here, especially with Bruce Wayne's family history, which I really enjoyed. And in this universe, his mother was from a family that went insane. The Arkhams, his mom's actually an Arkham. His dad's obviously a Wayne. And I really like that exploration of the genesis of Gotham and how the Arkhams are tied into it. I thought that was the most interesting part of the book for me.
I agree with that. 100%. That is, I agree. I definitely agree with that. And I'm trying to couch this in terms that doesn't spoil anything, because do we want to talk about who appears to help him? Because that's part of the fun of the book, are the people that show up that end up being his allies.
I don't think it's much of a spoiler. I'm not going to ruin the major twist, but in volume 2, Killer Croc does appear, and he's not an enemy. He's not a villain. He does become a part of the Bat family. And I want a spinoff book with Alfred and Killer Croc on a road trip or something, because I love their relationship together. They're just like an ornery friend. They're like an ornery friends who just like bicker back and forth. And that was a really cool relationship that I really enjoyed. And I hope to see more of it in the future if they continue on with the series.
Killer Croc.
It's kind of like us with Tyler, basically.
Who we can't say what's wrong with Tyler anymore, because he caught on, and our our little 2-minute opening is ruined because he started watching our videos and caught on.
And I do like how Alfred is constantly jealous of Commissioner Gordon and how Batman like talks to him sometimes over Alfred. And he's like, "Oh, you're calling Commissioner Gordon again, huh?" Like I just like how Alfred wants to be like his major like corner man. And he gets kind of annoyed when Bruce wants to expand their network, which is funny because in the main universe, Bruce is the one who wants to be insular, and Alfred's the one who wants him to expand.
Right.
In this one, Alfred's like, "No, you can only trust me." But Bruce is like, "No, if we want to help Gotham, we have to trust more people."
And just a tiny correction, he's just a detective, Gordon, at first, and he does get promotion to captain. He's not quite commissioner yet in this series. I'm
just so used to calling him that in general. So
I'm just saying so you don't get 15 comments saying, yeah, exactly. I don't want you to get actually-ized.
I've called a Commissioner Gordon since I was 6 years old, so it's hard to break that habit.
Right. I know. I just didn't want you to get a bunch of actuallys. Yeah.
So those two elements are my favorite part. The Arkham family history and how it ties in with the Waynes, and also the Killer Croc and Alfred bromance was my favorite part. My favorite part of the book, I think.
Okay. My favorite part, I also agree with Taylor when I say that this is an 8.5 or 9 out of 10, whereas the other books were 10s out of 10s. That doesn't mean, when you give a book a 9 out of 10, that's a pretty high recommendation. I wasn't disappointed with this book in the least. I loved it. I loved the character introduction. I love Bruce's interactions with people. I love Batman's interactions. I love the bromance, as you're talking about, especially with the introduction of Killer Croc's little friend. I thought that was sweet and humanized him. My favorite part was the introduction of a female ally. I enjoyed her a lot.
What did you think of her costume?
I thought it was ridiculous.
That was my one thing where I was like, that's an interesting costume choice. But I don't think that's going to be her final costume choice. I think that was just kind of like her initial working of her costume. And in the future, we'll have something a little bit sleeker and cooler. But I had a problem with her costume, but her characterization was really cool.
I agree with that. Her costume, Batman's costume in the very beginning very much looks homemade and realistic. Like this is something he put together on the sewing machine, and it gets upgraded as we go along through the book. And this particular character's first costume doesn't look that way at all. It looks like she pulled it out of a Barbie catalog or something. And I don't see the character. I'm aware the character's not real. I'm just saying I don't see the character actually wearing something like this in her first episodes out in Out of the Shadows. It looks, I don't even know how it wasn't, I don't even know how it could have been made. It almost took me out of her character, but her characterization is perfect and I dug it. So that's why I was willing to give it a pass.
Right.
I totally loved her attitude. And I loved how the story progressed. The twist you talked about was telegraphed. I still, even though it was telegraphed, I still enjoyed it. Whoops, let me highlight you there real quick.
Yeah, I wish they had just more lean into it earlier on. Like it was a cool plot development. I just wish they had just kind of told us, hey, this is what we're doing. Let's just go from here. I feel like Jeff Johns thought this book needed a twist because all the rest of the books had a twist in it. And I just think it wasn't needed. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, and we're showing Gary Frank's amazing art. His artwork is of all Gary Frank's art, it's his art in Batman that I love the most. Batman Earth 1 that I love the most. Um, it's um, it's just perfect. The colors are
Yeah, his only second is Superman Secret Origin. I love his stuff with
right.
Superman.
I love the colors in it. The colors are perfect. Who did the colors? Let's give them their props.
Brad Anderson.
Uh-huh. Inks by John Sabal. I it's just amazing. And I love that Batman created by Bob Kane with Bill Finger. That is always something nice to see. I really dig it. Um, I I also enjoyed the use of Lucius Fox to get more and more gadgets. That was cool.
Yeah, and the Batmobile gets an upgrade, and that looks like a real car, and that was really cool.
Yeah.
It's obviously not my favorite Batmobile, but it's like the most realistic, I think,
Mm-hmm.
because the Tumbler isn't really a car; it's like a tank, basically.
Yeah.
It's not a car you can really go out and buy. And this one, it's like a car that he retrofitted in his garage, basically. And I really like what they do with the Batcave in this book.
That was the exact next thing I wanted to say.
Because it's not the regular Batcave, I'll say that.
Yeah,
that was really cool.
That was a really cool introduction. I thought it was really just I loved it. It was perfect. So I mean, I highly recommend this book. It gets a 9 from me and an 8.5 to a 9 out of 10 from Taylor. I highly recommend anybody that liked the first two to get this. And I was happy with it. I can't wait for volume 4. Obviously, I don't want to wait as long as Taylor has, but it did leave. Let me think if I can say this without spoiling it. I loved. No, that's going to spoil it because it's about the villains.
There's a lot of possibilities for future stories. That's what I'll say. And so I'll be bummed out if this is the final volume because I feel like there's so much more potential to explore Batman and his family. And so I'm really hoping that they do because it feels like, in some ways, it kind of feels like it could be the end, but I think it's more of an opening for possible stories going forward. So that's my hope.
The way that the book leaves off makes me feel like he's almost telling us there's going to be more.
I hope so. Yeah, that's how every volume has ended before this. It's always, hey, here's what's going to happen. Here's a new character who's going to pop up in the next book, or here's something that's going to happen in the next book. So I hope so.
Right. And the last few pages just blatantly say book 4 is going to be about this.
Right.
So I'm extremely happy, and this I had a blast rereading 1 and 2 again. I'm going to continue to just reread 1 through 3 now, and it's one of those kind of jewels in my collection that I feel I'll always be able to count on. You know, what do I read? I don't feel like reading this. Oh, I'll read this. This always makes me feel good. So,
right. Yeah, I agree.
That's Batman Earth 1.
The best way I can equate it is I feel like volumes 1 and 2 where Batman begins in the Dark Knight, and this is like the Dark Knight Rises. And I like the Dark Knight Rises, but it's not my favorite of the 3, but I still enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how I view this third one.
Yeah.
So on to the next book.
Sure. This is Warren Ellis. Now, as far as I know, was this the first time Warren Ellis ever wrote Batman, and that's why we were so excited?
He wrote a short story for, I think, Batman 1000.
Okay.
And remember, there's also a crossover issue with Planetary back in the day.
Oh yeah.
So I think it's not his first time, but it's like his own like series that he's ever done. It's the first time he's ever done. At least I think so. I could be wrong. Someone might actually me in the comments, but to my knowledge, this is his first like main like mini series or something that he's done, longer than like an issue or like a short story.
Okay, yeah, I think we're safe to say that.
And Brian Hitch, who these guys are famous for working on the Authority book.
Mm-hmm.
So Is this their first time pairing up since then? It might be.
Oh, no way will I try and answer that question.
I can't remember another book where they teamed up since then, but they probably have. I don't want to get, again, this is we'll call this the actually episode because Jess and I don't want to get actually.
No.
But how about I read the back of this book?
Okay.
And you can show off some art.
Okay.
The world's greatest detective buried alive. Once a week, rain or shine, Alfred Pennyworth walks to a little cemetery plot on the Wayne Manor grounds. He meticulously tends to Thomas and Martha Wayne's headstones and slabs, weeding, cleaning, polishing. But how much longer before there's another Wayne memorial to tend to? Batman's current case forces him to inhabit the mind of a murder victim with a half-eaten face, sending him on a collision course with an enemy who has infiltrated every part of Gotham. Every corner Batman turns leads him one step closer to his own grave. So, Jess, what did you think of this book? I read this about a month ago, so you're a little more fresh with this series. What were your thoughts coming out of it?
One thing I was really pleased with was how much detective work actually Batman did.
Yeah.
There was a lot of detective work that made me feel like he lived up to the title World's Greatest Detective.
Right.
That was a part of the story I really enjoyed, was all the clues that he was figuring out, putting together all the ideas, thinking things through, putting things together in his head. I found everything to be I love that aspect of it, all the detective stuff that went on in it.
It was very Sherlock Holmesian.
Yeah.
And I love how he actually gets in the mind of murder victims and actually talks like he is them. Like he says, I'm doing this happened, and this happened. That was really cool because, like you said, so often, especially recently, we see Batman as just a brawler. And you see a lot of fights in this book, by the way. There's a lot of action scenes. But again, you really see that Batman is the smartest person in the room at all times. That he can figure out anything based on any clues in the room. And I think it's really cool how he inhabits the mind of his victims, because Batman isn't just a great detective, he's also very empathetic. And that helps to make him a great detective because he cares about the people that are murdered, even if they're criminals. So that aspect was definitely the best part of the book for me. I agree.
I want to show a part that I loved, and that's when he and Gordon are in Arkham Asylum looking for somebody, and it turns out that it's kind of an ambush, and they are both getting attacked. And he says here, gentlemen, I am now in a mood. I just love that.
Sounds something you would say.
I am now in a mood. I just thought that I love that part.
Jess, if someone played a drinking game with this book for every time Batman used a flashbang, how drunk would they be at the end of this book? Batman loves his flashbangs in this book.
Yeah, you're right. He really does. And as in Earth One, there's a lot of Alfred in this. A very different Alfred, probably an Alfred we're more used to, but it's a very Alfred-centric book.
Yeah.
He is not only Batman's helper, but he helps by being somebody that Batman bounces ideas and involves in his detective work. They're casually in the kitchen or something, and Batman's thinking, and Alfred's helping him just by asking questions, repeating what Batman said, helping point things in a direction.
Very snarky. Do you know who he reminded me of, Jess? He reminded me of you after nighttime. Sassy Jess. Remember Sassy Jess comes out when the sun goes down? So I think Alfred had a lot of great lines, but a lot of lines really fell flat for me. And I'm like, Alfred would never say that. Like, that's just something he would never say. So some jokes were funny, and some jokes it was just like, I think you were trying too hard to be fun. I feel like a lot of times Warren Ellis is so effortlessly funny in his books, and sometimes it felt like he was trying too hard in this book for
Oh,
me.
okay.
So
I
sometimes
didn't.
Alfred would say things that were really on the nose, like really, really spot on, and sometimes it was just kind of lame to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like he tried to make Alfred too edgy and say things that were controversial and say
Hmm.
things that he would never normally say. And so sometimes the characterization was great, and sometimes it was just off for me as someone who loves Alfred.
Mm-hmm.
Because in Earth One, it's a totally different Alfred. But this
Mm-hmm.
is kind of supposed to be like a main continuity, I think, or maybe not. It doesn't have a Black Label title on it, so I'm assuming it's main continuity. It just
Right.
didn't seem like the Alfred that I know and love at points.
Okay. I don't disagree, but I don't. I didn't pick up on that. I enjoyed Alfred's dialogue throughout the book. I also enjoyed at the end of the Arkham Brawl where Batman says, "I'm the new warden of Arkham." I There were just a lot of great points in this book, with all his detective work, figuring things out, um, the gunplay, Alfred defending himself in Wayne Manor. A lot of cool gadgets. A foe that was very hard to beat, very hard to figure out, having to go through a few. He had to go through a few people, and it was hard to get through these people to get to the top person who was leading it all. So I enjoyed this book a lot, actually. I think I would benefit from rereading it a few times, like I have Batman Earth One, books 1 and 2. I enjoyed this a lot. I can recommend it. I mean, look at this imagery right here. That is boss.
Yeah, the art
Uh,
is. It's hard to really say anything against the art. It's
right.
fantastic.
And the coloring.
Mm-hmm.
So I thoroughly enjoyed the snappy dialogue. I enjoyed the action. I enjoyed the detective work. It was a different take on Batman because it's Warren Ellis, but it wasn't the Warren Ellis that wrote Planetary with the dimensional collapses of physics and everything. But I found it to be highly enjoyable. I look forward to rereading it again, and if we're giving it a score, I'd give it another 8.5.
I would probably give it a 7 out of 10. I
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed it. I think that there are certain pieces that I love, but the overall structure didn't hold for me at some points.
Mm-hmm.
I found the major villain to be very not compelling, and his motivation. I was like, all right, I guess I see why he's doing this. But I thought the villain was very paper thin at the end, and there really
Mm.
wasn't much explanation. And the explanation you got was like, I guess I could see why he did this, but I feel like it would have been better if almost he just kind of like did a bunch of like unrelated cases throughout this series and just
Mm.
kind of seeing Batman fight these different villains. Because it kind of felt like that at some points. It kind of felt like
Yeah.
very episodic and different storylines. I almost wish every issue was one case that he was solving. And he comes close to death, and Alfred's seeing that come to pass, and he's worried about it. And because towards the end, you forget about the whole grave scene. You kind of, oh yeah, that's what the whole book's about. But I feel like if they had tied back to that more every issue,
Mm-hmm.
I think it would have made a lot more of an impact with that final image in the book. So I wish he kind of did away with the big organization. I'm kind of done with big organizations with Batman. It's like it's been done a million times. So I
Mm-hmm.
kind of wish every issue had been its own standalone thing leading
Mm.
to this ending, if that makes sense. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, it
So
does.
I think the pieces are really cool, but they don't always fit together.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's why I give it a 7 out of 10. It could have been a lot more cohesive. The story could have built to a better climax, and the villain could have been a lot better, in my opinion. But I love the detective stuff. I think Alfred, there's scenes where he's really funny and snarky. The action is great, some great moments, but the pieces are almost better than the sum of its parts
Mm-hmm.
for me.
Okay.
But I did enjoy it. I'm going to keep it and reread it. So I am going to keep it, and I think I'll get more out of it, like you said, whenever I reread it someday.
Yeah, I think I will definitely benefit from a couple rereads on this. So I look forward to rereading it. It's definitely going to be in my collection. If you are interested in more Batman books, particularly these two, you can go to dyingbreedcollectors.com. It's all one word. I just spelled it so you can see the spelling. Starting now on Saturday, the 26th through July 3rd, you'll get 10% off all Bat books using the code BATHOUND, not BAFOUND, but BATHOUND. And he will be getting Batman's Grave and Earth 1 Volume 3 in this Wednesday. So you can either order whatever you want, make 2 orders. You can or wait till Wednesday and make 1 order. But you get 10% off using the code BATHOUND at dyingbreedcollectors.com. And we thank him for our sponsorship. Is there anything else you feel compelled to tell the audience at this point?
I don't think so. I think we're good to go.
Okay. This has been Baturdays in the BatCave talking about Batman, and we hope you appreciated this and liked it. If you liked it, please hit the like button. Please subscribe, leave comments. We always respond to comments, even if they're actually comments. We're happy to discuss things with you. We always try and keep things positive, but we're human. We can take it. So please think about subscribing and going to dyingbreedcollectors.com and getting your books, and going to where for your Instagram?
At Minister of Comics.
And my Instagram is omnidog_vaults. No, it's not. omnidog_vault. And I was thinking that I have just learned finally how to make reels and put titles on reels. So you'll be seeing more reels from me.
Nice.
So thank you very much for watching. We appreciate you all. Peace and love. Peace and love.